So if you were looking at the war at sea, back in early spring 1943, the Battle of the Atlantic, it was looking pretty bleak for the Allies, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely terrifying. The German U-boat was, well, the undisputed king of the ocean at that point.
Right. Sinking ships faster than they could possibly be built. And they were out there, hundreds of miles from shore. Beyond any air cover, they must have felt untouchable.
It was more than just a crisis. It was truly existential for the whole Allied war effort. But then, almost overnight, it seems, something dramatic happened.
Yeah, a huge shift.
One of the quickest, most complete turnarounds you'll find in military history, really. In just a few months, that predator, the U-boat, suddenly becomes the prey, viciously hunted.
Exactly. And that's the core question for this deep dive, isn't it? How did that happen? How do you suddenly turn the tables on an invisible enemy hiding in the middle of a vast ocean and do it so fast?
Well, our source material really points to one main answer. The rapid development and deployment of these hunter-killer groups, HK groups they called them.
Okay, hunter-killer groups.
Yeah, and we're drawing on sources that break down the strategy, the tech, the intelligence, the whole package that made them so lethal. We're focusing quite a bit on the sort of prototype group, the one built around the USS Bogue, that's CVE-9. Captain Giles Short was in command.
Got it. So the mission for us today, for you listening, is to really pin down those key advantages, the tech, the organization, the intelligence breakthroughs that let the Allies stop, hunting shadows and start sinking subs systematically.
Okay, so let's start with the ships themselves. They were absolutely central. The heart of the hunter-killer group was the escort carrier, the CVE. Like the USS Bogue we mentioned.
And when you say escort carrier, we should probably emphasize the escort part. These weren't the big, famous fleet carriers, right?
Not at all. The records show they were mostly converted merchant hulls, built fast, often at places like the Norfolk Naval Shipyard. Functional, yes, but really basic.
Basic how?
Well, think Spartan accommodations, really cramped hangar decks, and flight decks so short. It was apparently quite dicey getting those planes off the deck safely. Definitely unglamorous.
Huh. So not exactly built for comfort or style.
No, but they were, as one chief engineer wrote in his diary, built for purpose. And that purpose was taking the fight to the U-boats. The carrier, plus its screen of escort destroyers, it was basically a mobile airfield.
Ah, right. A floating airbase you could move wherever you needed it.
Exactly. That was the revolutionary bit, putting air power right into the middle of the Atlantic, the one place planes couldn't effectively reach from land bases before.
Okay, that makes sense strategically. But you said converted merchant hulls. Weren't they incredibly vulnerable that? I mean, if a wolf pack found them, wouldn't the hunters become the hunted pretty quickly?
That was the huge risk, absolutely. And that's why the escort destroyers sailing with the carrier were so vital. The whole strategy was high stakes. These HK groups were often sent out because intercepted messages pinpointed a wolf pack.
So they were deliberately sailing towards the danger.
Pretty much, yeah. Straight into the U-boat's known operating areas. And they were completely on their own out there.
Really isolated.
Oh, yeah. The sources stress this. Hundreds of miles from friendly forces. If they ran into serious trouble, like a big wolf pack counterattack, well, the orders were stark. No reinforcements were coming.
Wow. Find and kill them before they kill you. That's intense.
That's terrifying calculus, like you said.
So to even make that gamble work, they had to know where to point the ships, right? They couldn't just wander around hoping to get lucky.
Precisely. Wasting time searching thousands of square miles wasn't an option. And that leads us to, I think, maybe the most incredible part of this whole story. The intelligence advantage. Ultra intelligence.
Ah, Bletchley Park.
Exactly. The code breakers in England, they'd cracked the German naval codes, the Enigma ciphers. This ultra-intelligence was, effectively, the secret weapon, the eyes and ears for the hunter-killer groups.
It sounds almost unfair, like having the enemy's playbook handed to you every morning.
It was pretty close to that. They weren't just reading general messages. They were often reading Admiral Dennett's specific orders to his U-boat commanders out in the Atlantic, location coordinates, plan, tactics.
That completely changes the game.
It does. There's a great quote from one of the British codebreakers saying that every successful decryption was like turning on a light in a dark room. The U-boats thought they were invisible, operating in total secrecy,
But their positions were being plotted back in England.
Right. Now, the next crucial step was getting that top-secret info from Bletchley Park to the HK groups at sea fast and securely. That's where this unusual American command structure comes in the 10th Fleet.
Okay, the 10th Fleet. I've read a bit about this. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Very weird, but incredibly effective. It's often described as one of the most lethal yet strangest commands in naval history.
Because it wasn't really a fleet. in the normal sense, no ships.
Correct. The historical documents call it a command structure that existed only on paper. No ships of its own, no permanent bases, no physical assets in the traditional sense. Just people, communication lines, and a laser-sharp focus.
And its only job.
Destroy U-boats, that was it. Overseen personally by Admiral Ernest J. King, the head of the U.S. Navy.
Wait a minute. An entire fleet command, existing only on paper, handling the most sensitive intelligence like Ultra. Wasn't that incredibly risky? Like, prone to mix-ups or delays?
You'd think so, but that abstraction was actually its strength. Because it didn't have the logistical burdens of managing actual ships and bases, it could react with incredible speed. It was purely about processing intelligence and issuing orders. Think of it like a dedicated, secure intel hub.
Okay, I see. Stripped down for maximum efficiency. So Bletchley cracks the code, sends the coordinates,
The 10th Fleet processes it, figures out the likely U-boat track.
and within hours, a message goes out to the Bogue or the card group. Head this way. Aircraft ready to launch at dawn.
That's the flow. Intelligence coordination became the weapon system, in a way. But, even with good coordinates, the Atlantic is huge. Finding a tiny submarine conning tower, especially in rough weather.
Still a needle in a haystack problem.
Exactly. So intelligence got them to the right neighborhood, but then technology had to find the specific house. This is where science and engineering really stepped up.
Right. This wasn't just about numbers. It was about smarter tools. So what was the key tech on the planes themselves?
The absolute game changer in 1943 was airborne radar. The Avenger torpedo bombers flying off these escort carriers started getting fitted with new, much more sensitive radar sets.
Radar feels commonplace now,
Yeah.
but back then, for hunting U-boats from the air, what did it let them do?
Its sensitivity was key. It could pick up something as small as a surfaced U-boat's conning tower, maybe even just a periscope, from miles away. And crucially, the U-boat often had no idea it had been spotted.
Even at night or in bad weather.
Yes, that was revolutionary. At night, through fog, through clouds. Before this, U-boats were actually safest on the surface at night, recharging their batteries using diesel engines. Suddenly, the dark wasn't safe anymore.
That must have been a massive psychological blow, too.
Huge. There's a powerful quote from a U.S. Navy radar officer's memoir. Before radar, we hunted shadows. After radar, the shadows had names and bearings. It shifted the hunt from guesswork to precision targeting.
Okay, so the radar finds the U-boat, but the plane still needs to sink it. What were the Avengers carrying?
A pretty potent mix. Depth charges, of course. Sonobuoys, which they could drop to listen for submerged subs. And then the really clever weapon, the Mark 24 mine, better known as Fido.
Fido, the acoustic homing torpedo.
That's the one, nicknamed the Smartfish.
Why smart? What made it so different from a regular torpedo?
It was passive acoustic homing. So unlike older torpedoes that just ran straight, Fido didn't need perfect aiming. You dropped it near the suspected location of a submerged U-boat.
And it loomed.
Exactly. It would circle, listening for the sound signature of the submarine's propellers underwater. Once it locked onto that sound, it would steer itself right towards it. Boom.
So the U-boat's own attempt to escape by diving and running its motors.
Became the very thing that guided the torpedo. They literally couldn't escape the sound they were making. And the Germans, at this point in 43, had no real countermeasure. They couldn't run quiet enough. They didn't have effective acoustic decoys yet.
Wow. Technologically cornered.
Completely. The advantage was overwhelming for a crucial period.
You can really feel the impact this must have had on the German crews. We found this quote from a surviving U-boat commander, and it just nails the sense of helplessness, I guess, he said. It was as if the ocean itself had turned against us. We could no longer hide. Even the clouds had ears.
That says it all, doesn't it? Radar from the clouds, Fido from the depths. If they surfaced, planes they never saw found them. If they dived, the smart fish heard them. They went from apex predators to feeling hunted from every angle almost overnight.
And the primary hunting ground where this all came together was that notorious stretch of the mid-Atlantic, right?
The Mid-Atlantic Gap, yeah, often called the Black Pit.
Why Black Pit?
Because it was too far from land on either side, Canada, Iceland, the UK, the Azores, for land-based patrol aircraft to cover effectively. Before the escort carriers, it was a U-boat paradise, a safe zone where they could lurk and wait for convoys.
But these new HK groups built around ships like Bogue and Card, they can sail right into that gap.
Precisely. They closed the gap. Suddenly, Allied aircraft could patrol the Black Pit around the clock. There was no sanctuary left.
And the effect was immediate.
Stark and immediate. What had been the U-boat's safest hunting ground rapidly turned into their graveyard.
The results were pretty stunning, weren't they, just in those first few months?
Absolutely staggering. The USS Bogue group alone is credited with sinking 13 German U-boats in a relatively short period. The USS Card group got another 11.
13 kills for just one group.
And those are just two examples. The cumulative impact across all the HK groups essentially broke the back of the U-boat offensive in the Atlantic. Dozens more were forced back, damaged, or sunk by other means because the pressure was relentless. It truly was the turning point in 1943. The hunter definitively became the hunted.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it wasn't just one thing. It was this convergence, wasn't it? You had the ships, these unglamorous but vital escort carriers.
Citing the mobile platform, yep.
Then you had the brilliant code-breaking, Ultra, giving them the targeting data, the eyes and ears.
Absolutely crucial.
And finally, the technology, the airborne radar to find them, the phyto-torpedo to finish them, the knockout punch.
Exactly. A combination of platform, intelligence, and technology. But if I had to highlight the most unique element, maybe it's that organizational piece we talked about, the 10th Fleet.
The fleet that existed only on paper.
Right. A command structure totally dedicated to applying intelligence rapidly, coordinating widely dispersed assets, all without a massive physical footprint. It really shows how smart organization and information flow can be just as powerful, maybe even more powerful sometimes, than sheer physical force.
That leaves us with a really interesting thought for you, the listener. As you think about this deep dive, consider, what are the modern parallels? Where today do we see vital operations, maybe in defense, maybe in business, maybe even in disaster response, that rely almost entirely on intelligence, coordination, and organization, perhaps without big physical infrastructure being the key? How much power still resides in these, well, these abstract structures of command, the ghost fleets of our own time?